Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, heard Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on PSA.com and the PSA Facebook page. The Great American Collectibles Show is brought to you by PSA and the National Sports Collectors Convention. Tonight's headlines are brought to you by Sports Collectors Daily. For all of your hobby news, features, and more, visit sportscollectorsdaily.com. And now, your hosts, Tom Zappala and John Molori.
JM, my man, how are you?
What's up, buddy?
Nice
2 weeks in a row.
I know, really. Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show. Tom Zappala,
I know you're a family out there, by the way, and I was okay with it before last year's NBA Finals. Ixnay the Warriors hat.
Can I say my son?
I know you got family out there.
Yeah,
I get it.
he gave
but that
it
was
me.
before.
I know
they beat the Celtics.
I know, it's a good point.
So no
good
more
point.
hat.
All right, listen, we have a good show today. We've got John Demorias from New England Card Show coming on for a few minutes, and then Lee Behrens, who's got an auction going from Sterling Sports Auction. But first, this is interesting.
All right.
Our headline. So this guy, Corey Humans.
Okay.
From Texas, was offered $3 million for the Aaron Judge ball.
The Judge ball, yeah.
He rolled the dice, baby.
He did.
Rolled the dice, and he sold it for $1.5 million. Now, I did some math. Think about this. He sold it for $1.5 million. After the 20% to the auction house,
Yep.
right? Taxes and everything, he's going to wind up netting out about $600,000, which isn't bad.
It's nice.
But $3 million versus $1.5 million is a little...
So that's the risk you take, right?
Right.
Because sometimes it goes to auction, and you get the bidding wars, and it could have been over $3 million.
Well, that's a good point.
Right?
But you got to roll the dice.
You know better than I do, right? I mean, does that normally happen if it goes to auction?
Honestly, I thought that would go for a lot more money. But you know something else? And I want to ask John this. I'm going to ask Lee this, too. I'm beginning to think that things are kind of leveling off.
In the hobby.
Okay. Things are kind of leveling off.
Well, I think maybe people are coming to the realization that, especially with the modern, and you talk about this a lot, and you love it when current players get hurt. You love it. You eat that up. But that it is a risk. And I don't think you can treat, and I'm just going to say his name, Mike Trout, even though he's great, like Babe Ruth. When you're a collector, you can't.
No,
can't do it.
No, that's it.
Because, I don't mean this to Mike Trout, but let's take Tatis or one of these younger players. 1 year does not equal a full career.
Well, not only that, but there's
or 2 years, whatever.
A CSG or CGS, I don't know the name of that grading company. Mickey Mantle, CGS 8, sold for $1.5 million, which is a lot of money, but I think a lot of people thought that was going to be a $3-4 million card.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It could be.
So remember, you can listen to us on any of your favorite platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Alexa, Pandora, whatever you want.
I'm going to do that at my cousin's house Christmas Day. I'm going to go to his Alexa. No one's going to know.
I want to play the show.
I want to play the Great American Collectibles Show.
I've done that over my cocktail.
That's personal.
It is.
Thanks.
All right, let's bring in John Demorias from the New England Sports Show. How are you, pal?
Good morning, guys. How you guys doing?
Good. What's going on?
Hey, John.
John, what kind of a hat is that? Is that a...
That is the promotion company, Primetime.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
The New card show. So little PT on top there, buddy.
Wait a second.
Why did you go with the Raider?
I'll tell you what.
You see that? He's going to go with the Raiders.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We will trade 2 Great American Collectibles Show hats for 2 of those.
Want to do that?
What?
That's 100%.
All right?
All right.
We'll do that.
I'll actually mail them out to you first so you don't think we're screwing you.
No, I'm good with that. Let's do that. We'll start that Christmas tradition this year.
Okay, we have kind of a bad connection there, huh?
We can hear.
I would just make it
All
work.
right.
All right, so listen, you got a lot going on in the next month and a half. Tell us about it.
We're back. The New England Card Show is back with 4 shows in Springfield at the Mass Mutual Convention Center. We kick off the season with a really good show. It's the kickoff, New York kickoff show, which is going to be Saturday, January 7th. And we're continuing our New England theme of guests. It's going to be hard to top Rico and Jim Longboard in October. So we're coming back with 2 Hall of Fame New England greats, Robert the Chief Parrish and Jim Calhoun, the coach of the UConn Huskies, will be in the house.
Oh, that's cool.
On January 7th. So that it's turning out to be a great event, and we're getting a lot of good information and a lot of good contacts from people interested in those two guests. Plus, Jim Calhoun is going to be doing, like we did that panel from the Hall of Fame in the Enshrinement Theater. Jim Calhoun's going to be doing Q&A from 6 to 7 after the show with special invites. So we're going to be doing a giveaway at the show, 150 seats to be able to go to the theater and interact with Jim Calhoun directly, take photos and ask him questions right on stage at the Hall of Fame. So
is he involved? I mean, is he still active in? Obviously, I know he's retired. How's he doing, John?
He's doing well. I just talked to him the other day. He's enjoying his grandkids. He's not coaching full time anymore, but if you looked at his track record, he's still involved at UConn, as kind of helping out behind the scenes. And he also established a really solid Division III program that he handed off to one of his longtime assistants, Glenn Miller, St. Joseph's University here in the Hartford area. And he actually coached for the first couple of years to establish it. And now it's becoming a pretty solid Division III program in the East Coast.
JM, do you know where he started?
Northeastern.
Braintree High School.
Oh, okay, before, yeah. I knew him from North. You're older than I. I wasn't born.
Braintree High. But. All right, so what are the dates again, John, of the show?
This show kicks off, our first one of the year, the first of four, is going to be Saturday, January 7th, Mass Mutual Center. Kicks off at 9 a.m. for early preview, if you want to come in early. 10 o'clock for general admission. It's going to go to 5. And followed by that is a great event at the Basketball Hall of Fame, which is called Primetime Saturday Night, starting at 6 o'clock. We'll have Jim Calhoun in the Enshrinement Theater, having Q&A with a great host, the sports card therapist, Robert Giroir, who's known in the industry, and he'll be hosting it for us. He does a great job for us at the Hall of Fame. And we follow it up with 7 to 10, which is the best trade night in the industry, Center Court Basketball Hall of Fame, watching some big-time football and trading some big-time cards from 7 to 10 at night. So
I was going to, John, what are your expectations for this show in terms of crowds, everything like that? I know you've been doing this a bit now. You're kind of growing and growing and growing. What are your expectations?
The expectation is just coming off our first show in Springfield was a year ago. So coming off of that show, we've grown incrementally every show.
Right.
So we're hoping for about 2,000 people to walk through the door.
Nice. We had Rico and I were honored to be there. Rico did a signing with Jimmy Lombard.
Yeah, I remember that.
And John, there's a backstory. I want to tell you a backstory real quickly. John gave me a beautiful 3 or 4 foot photograph of Rico and Jim that Rico signed and Jim signed. And John was nice enough. So, John, you know what I did with that? I gifted it. And I'll tell you why. Because I met a guy, and do you know who Ed Germano was? Name ring a bell?
Yeah, we were talking about him last week.
Ed Germano was probably the foremost sports writer, sports cartoonist in the history of Boston newspapers. Wonderful. I mean, all kinds of awards. He's got stuff that is like an amazing thing. So Rico, my son and he were talking. He's 96 years old. 96. And he's not well, obviously. And his son was telling me that when he did all the artwork for the Red Sox for newspapers, he idolized Rico and Jimmy Lombard.
Oh, there you go.
Idolized him. So I said, really? He says, yeah. He says, I can't tell you. And then I asked Rico. Rico says he was the nicest guy he'd ever met. So I decided to gift it to him on your behalf. I told him it was given to us, and his son called me up and said it's hanging in his living room, had it framed, and he just looks at it every day. So
nice.
That's a thanks to you, John.
That's awesome. That's a great story. That's about this whole hobby, right?
Yep.
Giving back to the hobby. That's
all right,
great.
So the dates again, one more time before we let you go.
January 7th, Saturday, kicking off at 9 a.m. for early preview, 10 to 5 for the general public, followed by Primetime Saturday night, 6 to 10 at the Basketball Hall of Fame with Jim Calhoun, free Q&A, giving out tickets to that event at the show from 6 to 7 and trade night from 7 to 10. And just in, showing that the New England Card Show is starting to make some traction. JSA on site at the show on January 7th. So anyone in the area looking to authenticated, getting pictures or anything coming in for Robert Parrish, which you can home authenticated, JSA will be in the house on site to help you out with that.
That's huge. All right, John, listen, hope you have this is after Christmas now, right?
Yeah.
The show, yeah. I hope you had a good Christmas. And with that being said, we'll see you down the road.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot for
Take
the time.
care. John Demorias from New England
after
Card Show.
Christmas this
Good
show
guy.
is,
Yeah, this is the after Christmas show. Because, by the way, folks, I'm behind. I know they hate when I say this.
No need to explain.
We're doing 2 shows back to back. Chrissy gives me this look.
I have to say, it's one of the reasons I do the show is to see the looks. And I know when they're coming, too.
She gives me the greatest
I know when
look.
they're coming. It's like I was watching the show you previously taped, your Sicilian Corner show, and I'm sitting there waiting for us to start. And after you're done, you're like, JM, you're quiet. I'm like, was I supposed to start yelling while you're recording the show?
Point. That's a good point. All right, let's bring in our main guest today, Lee Behrens from Sterling Sports Auction. Lee, first of all, how is the weather in Minnie?
Well, we got a little cold and a little snowy here.
How much snow do you have on the ground right now?
We probably got a couple feet. We didn't get it quite as bad as the Dakotas we got over there, but I spent 3 straight days shoveling out, and then the ice was underneath it. So it's some great fun to live in Minnesota sometimes.
So, Lee, are you a Minnesota guy, like born and raised, native?
I was pretty much raised.
They had the Vikings game on, which we can get to that.
That was a great game,
but it was an unbelievable game.
I know.
Unbelievable game. And my Matty Ryan from BC now is like the king of being come back on.
He's got to retire.
He needs to quit.
He's got to retire.
But I had a question because they showed some exteriors from that game, and it was like, that's Minneapolis, that's Minnesota. Do you miss having the Viking Stadium being outdoors from a fan standpoint?
I only went to 2 Vikings games outdoors.
Yep.
They were cold. But I also think that it brought an element of home field advantage.
It sure did. Yeah.
When I was growing up, they tended to play the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, that's right.
Every championship game.
That's
and they
right.
had home field advantage. And they beat them every time.
We're probably around the same age because it was like the Rams couldn't beat the Vikings and the Vikings couldn't beat the Cowboys, in the playoff. That's the way it was like almost every year, although the Vikings did go to some Super Bowls. But, unlike Buffalo, which still has that advantage, it's kind of like lost now in Minnesota.
Have you ever been to Minneapolis?
I have been to Minneapolis.
You know what my favorite spot is? The Mary Tyler Moore House. Love the Mary Tyler Moore House.
Yeah,
You throw your hat up.
Kind of like
you throw that hat up.
Kind of like a tourist attraction. All right, Lee. First of all, I'm assuming you've had a really good year.
Oh, it's been quite fabulous, and this final auction of the year looks like it's going to be my best ever. So
nice.
Certainly cannot complain.
Can you give us a little, before we get into the auction, give us a little background on Lee Behrens, how long you've been in the industry or hobby, and how you've kind of worked your way up?
I basically always a collector as a kid, had to go to the store with my dime to get a pack whenever I had it. And then 1980, bought a price guide and found out the 1970 Pete Rose card was worth $5, and we had one. So I was like, wow. And then we found out that there was card shows. And we went to the Thunderbird Motel, which is now where the Mall of America is, it wiped out. And that was the first card show we ever went to. They did like quarterly shows.
Yeah.
So we would try to get down to them and save up at that time $50 or whatever. The very first show I went to, I bought every Ernie Banks card. I remember paying $29 for the rookie card.
Wow.
And then the rest. But that was the big purchase. But I bought every Ernie Banks card. And then just going to shows, like I said, quarterly. I remember one time when I was in college, I'd saved up enough money I wanted to buy a Babe Ruth or a Lou Gehrig card.
Yeah.
And ended up buying a 33 Gehrig from a guy you didn't see much 30s and later stuff in Minnesota. But I purchased that. And then college did the typical kind of backed off, was able to pick up some T206s. Got out of college, we ran a card store for 4 years in Alexandria here.
Now, who's we? You and your wife, or
It's just a friend of mine that was he was a chiropractor in town. He was just looking to possibly open something up, and I said, well, shoot, I'm just fresh out of college. I'd love to do it. Let's sit down and figure out what worked. And it was perfect timing. 1988 to 92 is what we had the card store, and
that was really the explosion. Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly.
We had 2 World Series to deal with too.
Right. The Twins were a factor back then. Yeah, for sure. And it's funny, we talk a lot about modern collectors maybe finding their way to vintage collecting or what came in the past, right. Not just, and sounds like that's what you did, Lee. Mm-hmm. You were kind of focused on the guys you watched when you were a kid, but then as you got more and more into the hobby, you were looking back, T206, Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth. Do you think people do that now? Do you think young collectors do that now?
Yeah, you do see that because there's a forum on Facebook that I'm on that has a younger generation that's gotten into the T206s.
Wow. See?
And they're excited. I mean, they'll throw a poor fare up and just excited to have this card, and I love to see it.
Nice.
I mean, I actually got my start in the pre-war stuff from going to a show before the Metrodome opened up. It was in the concourse area, and there was a guy sitting there with 2 briefcases and nothing on his table, and thought that was curious. And after the second time walking by him, I asked him what the deal was, and I was 16 or 17 at the time, so I don't think he knew. Well, he opened the case up, and it was full of pre-war stuff, and he started talking to me and stuff. It ended up being Bill Mastro.
Oh, God.
I bought a T202 and a couple other cards off of him. That was the start of my pre-war.
Bill Mastro owned... he's now called the infamous Bill Mastro, but Bill. He was a legend in the hobby for many years, and until he got himself in a little trouble. First card I ever bought was a T206, Lena Blackburn, in Cooperstown. I was with my son. He must have been about 8. And I knew nothing. I had no idea what a T206 card. It was. I was rummaging through a box in an antique store, and I said, "Wow, this will look kind of cool." So I bought the card, framed it in a little frame, and put it on my desk. That's how I get started with the T206s. All right, Lee, let's get into the auction. First of all, when does the auction end?
It ends on Thursday, December 29th.
Okay.
I need to get your initial bid in by 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to get an extended bidding. Once you're in extended bidding in a Sterling auction, you can bid on any lot in the whole auction. So even if you don't have a bid in, you can
cool.
jump in.
It's and you can back me up on this. It's one of the more eclectic auctions I've seen. I mean, you have a lot of cards there.
Tons.
And a lot of brands that
I saw that too.
I haven't been in this as much as you have, but caramels and the cigarette collect. Is this from 1 or 2 different sources, Lee, or is this from a lot of different consigners? How did you get some of these items?
I get them from a lot of different consigners.
Yep.
As I mentioned, my background is pre-war, so I had a nice established people that trusted me when I bought Sterling 8 years ago. And so I have a lot of people that send me stuff that way. I obviously, in this auction, I have a guy sent me complete sets, all the Bowman baseball complete sets, all the tops from 1953 to 1969, I think it was. So I have all those sets, but it's just a variety of different consigners. And you never know what people have. I mean, you're just surprised sometimes what all of a sudden somebody has that you wouldn't expect.
How's the bidding going on the 51 Bowman Mantle?
Actually, to tell you the truth, I haven't looked. Bidding was so strong the first day. Some of those page 1 cards, I'm going to punch it up for you here. We'll see where we're at. It's headliner. We're at 9,500 for the bid right now.
And that's a PSA 2?
3. Yes, it's a very nice. It's nice here.
Oh yeah, that'll be a
nicely centered. I mean, it's a very. If somebody's looking for a quality 3, this is
that card will go for 20,000 or more.
Is that right?
Yeah, in my opinion.
And there's the Maze.
The Maze.
Right. And
what is that at?
What's that?
What is that at right now?
Let's see where we're at. We are at 3,800 right now, so there's a lot of room to go with that one.
Lee, you've got some good rookie cards in addition to what we just saw. You have a Koufax rookie. You have a Hank Aaron rookie. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, they're all out of this guy's sets.
Yeah.
And what part of what I do is on sets that I feel are break upable,
yeah.
Where you can break out and get them more money. I'll break it out. And so that's what ended up happening with all the Bowman sets. I ended up breaking it down. All the top sets from 53 to 58, I broke them out. And so then the individual cards are up for sale. And this was just a really nice, this guy was pretty much 4s, 5s. You get newer, a lot of 6s and 7s that came through there, but a really strong offering that this guy had with his cards. That this is kind of a fun one.
Okay, what is it?
Tell us what that is.
It's a T209 Continia.
Yeah.
E. Thompson. It's Uncle Sam.
Oh, God.
He's dressed as Uncle Sam.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's very low pop, and it's over $2,000 already on the bid.
Fabulous.
Nice.
All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. Lee Behrens from Sterling Sports Auction is in the house. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, Mile High. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectables Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Well, look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Okay, we are back and chatting with Lee Behrens from
Hi, Lee.
Sterling Sports Auction.
Love talking to people who are in colder climates than we are.
I know, Lee. Man, I don't know how you do it, bro. I don't know.
I have friends out there in the Eden Prairie area.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
South.
That was exciting, wasn't it? A
Wait
good
a second.
exchange on Eden Prairie there, wasn't it?
Wait, was it Minnesota's claim to fame, Hubert Humphrey?
Well, yeah, among them. Yeah, I mean, Bob Dylan, Kevin McKinney. Does he know we're doing a show?
Hey, Rico.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rico Petrocelli.
You are unbelievable. You're like unbelievable. Say hi to everybody. Oh, God help me.
I thought there was a meeting on the mound or something.
He's unbelievable. I just explained to him. I said, we're doing 2 shows back to back. We're going to edit in all the commercials. Bob.
I felt like Jim Willoughby struggling to get the second out in the 7th.
Hey, hey, Lee, you have over 1,000 cards in this auction.
I mean, there's 650 lots. Yeah, there's got to be plenty over 1,000 with all the complete sets I have.
That's amazing. I was looking at it pretty thoroughly, and this is, as John says, the most eclectic set you've ever had. There's a little of everything.
Yeah, there is a really good diversity, and I've had to start doing some more ungraded stuff that I normally wouldn't have, just because of the adjustment in the pricing of grading over the last 3 years. And I have a good reputation for ungraded cards. I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time I had one return that they felt that it was wrong grade, but 95% of the time I don't apply a grade. I describe the card and then have the scan. So let them decide where they want to go with it.
Lee, you have a couple of neat team cards. You have a 1913 T200 Pittsburgh Nationals team card that includes Honus Wagner. And then you have a 1934 Tour of Japan card that I think includes Ruth and Gehrig, right? Can you talk about those 2 pieces?
Yeah, that's the one's a postcard, the Tour of Japan, which is really interesting because it's got both the American team and the Japanese team on there. And
it looks really neat. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for these postcard collectors, which has really jumped up in the last 5 years, the postcards have really gone nuts, and it's very unique. I personally had never seen one with the Japanese and American teams out there together.
Pretty cool.
So not sure how short that. The other that you're talking about is the Fatima team cards from 1914. That they're a cool set. I mean, obviously the Pirates have a Wagner in there. The Giants in there have Jim Thorpe on it, which makes it a really good issue with that. With talking of team cards that's in this auction that I'd never seen, there's a complete set of 1968 Topps. It's a test set from Topps for football teams. It's a 25 card set. They're black and white, and the complete set is being offered in the auction.
Now, when you say a test set, does that mean that just not many are out there, or?
Yeah, because it never made. It never made it out.
So that's kind of.
So it never went public. That people they weren't in any packs or anything like that.
As far as my understanding is, they never distributed.
That
them
makes it really cool, then, huh? That's
how there's ever a quantity enough to get out to the public at some point or another is kind of interesting. Whenever you see that, because Topps, the hockey 65 or 66 has the same thing with a test set that's out there.
Lee, you're a vintage guy, as we all know. Are there any modern or ultra modern cards in the auction at all?
There's this is it's a Drew Brees autographed rookie card.
Yeah,
from the 2001 playoff contender. It's PSA 8 with the autograph as a 10, but future Hall of Famer
with the Chargers.
Great card.
The Chargers, right? That was the big trade when Vic went to the Falcons.
Oh, that's right, Michael Vick. That's right.
Right.
So, a couple of questions. Number one, what are you seeing in 2023? What are you anticipating? Because we were talking about it earlier with John Demorias. Are things leveling off a little bit? Are you still seeing some escalation on the vintage end?
The modern stuff seems to be coming down a little bit. I mean, there's always some stuff that carries. The vintage, the 50s and 60s stuff maybe went down a little, has gotten leveling off a little bit. The pre-war, I would say your big name Hall of Famers are still going strong. The other stuff, like you said, is leveled off. It's kind of out there, but I mean, it's still, you get the right set at the right time, and there's still just peak interest on the stuff out there because there was that evolution in the hobby, especially as people start buying, they evolve backwards into older stuff.
Lee, we were talking earlier how you some of the cards you say were in a set, you kind of broke them up, because you felt like that could give them maybe the best showcase in the auction. You have a Topps 1964 complete set. You talk about that a little bit, but also I just want you to talk about that decision-making process. How do you go about deciding, because complete sets are popular now too. How do you go about deciding if you should leave a complete set as a set or break it up and sell some of the more valuable cards individually?
Yeah, some of it is dependent upon how many graded cards they have within the set when they send it to me.
Yep.
Because it's much easier to pull out and they have a better idea, what exactly you're getting with that. And occasionally, price value, I mean, if I'm only going to get $500 out of, what's pulling off to the side of a, $3,000-$4,000 set, I think you're just as well off keeping it as a set type thing. And that's why I kind of use the breaking point of 1960 as kind of where I'll probably keep it together unless they're really high grade, as rookie and mantles and, stuff like that. The grade level makes a big difference on whether I decide to keep it together or start breaking it down.
Lee, I know a lot of cards go through your hands. Do you have a personal collection yourself?
Yes, I do. I love the cards. I mean, I have two niches in the hobby for anybody that collects T206s. I'm only too short of all the Cycle 460s.
Wow,
man!
What are you missing? Do you know what you're missing?
Yeah, the Schaefer portrait, which is a one of one, the only one that's ever been for sale and known to exist. And then I need the Cobb with the bat off.
Oh, those are out there.
Yeah, they are, but it's not often. In the last 3 years, there's been a few offered up. I made a run at a couple of them, but still kind of spendy for me. But it's just, I think there's another guy that he's down to 6. But I mean, it was one where I got to 5 and I was about ready to call her. It's like, maybe it's time to, because I have a one of one in my collection. And I had a gentleman I knew had 2 of the cards I needed. And he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, you interested in them?" And I said, "Well, yeah, what are you looking at?" Well, we worked out a deal and he goes, "Well, do you need this card?" And I said, "Yes." And I was like, so all of a sudden I got 3 of the 5 cards from this guy that I needed, that they're all low pop. And so it was like, well, I guess we're going to be down to 2 cards I need.
Wow.
So I love the T202 set. I'm working on getting a set put back together. I have about 40 Piedmont art stamps. I started buying more Hobbs and, it's just higher end Hall of Famers. Love the T3s.
Right. I was going to ask, staying on kind of your view and your opinion of things, and I always like to ask this to the different auction houses when we have them on the show. We mentioned this is a really eclectic auction, a lot of different types of cards, postcards, whatever you. Is there something in the auction that jumps out to you, what I like to call the wow item, a unique item maybe that you're like, this is pretty cool, something you're not going to find in a lot of other places?
This guy, Uncle Sam.
There it is.
It's just when I first heard about it, I thought, wow, that's nuts. And I had the consignor that came up to me. To me, you don't see it. I think the pop report is around 4 or 5.
Now, does that have Uncle Sam's stats on the back? What kind of year did he have?
It's a figurehead. I don't even know the background story of why exactly.
Sam Wilson, that was his name, right?
Sam Wilson?
B.E. Thompson.
Well, you went to school with him. You should know.
I thought it was Sam Wilson. I thought that was his name. Maybe that was a fictitious guy.
Yeah, I think the original Uncle Sam that you're talking about that was for the billboard and the.
I had an Uncle Sam.
Did you know Gilligan's first name was Willie?
Willie Gilligan?
They never said it on the show, but Sherwood Schwartz said it was Willie.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Uncle Sam Gilligan, American Heroes.
Oh, God almighty. Lee, signed cards really picking up ahead of steam. Signed vintage cards.
They're hit or miss. I mean, obviously you need them authenticated.
Yeah, right. Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. I haven't had a vintage one in a while. It really comes down to the player when I have had them in the past, but I know they're popular. I mean, sometimes you just have to, if you got a bunch of them, you have to put them in a group to get some value out of them. But others, depending upon when they died, is really what makes a difference.
I picked up. I have 2 autograph cards. 2. I picked up 2 cool ones though. I picked up through a private sale a 1953 Topps Mickey Mantle, signed in 1953 in ink by Mickey Mantle. Very cool card. Nice. And then I have a I think it's a 47 exhibit card of Jackie Robinson signed in ink by Jackie Robinson.
Wow.
2 cool cards. Very
really cool.
That's
really cool.
Yeah.
My cream of the crop for that was when I was doing those shows at the Thunderbird. I paid $6 for Hank Aaron's autograph, and I stood in line, and I had a 55 and a 65 card that I was going to have autographed. And these guys standing around me, they're like, "You don't want to ruin that card. That's going to ruin that card."
Right.
And they were trying to.
You did get an autograph, though, right?
Yeah, I got both of the 55 and the 65 autograph. So, yeah, I have them. But $6 was a lot to pay for an autograph.
I have a 2022 Rico Petrocelli signed card that I got at the National from him 3 months ago. So that's my jewel.
Did you get it authenticated, though?
Well, he was right in front of me, but I'm not sure it was him.
I took a picture.
Until he walked in the middle of a show we would take.
I took a picture of him. I took a picture of him signing it, so he was there. You gotta love him.
Gotta love him. You have to.
By the way, for this next show, you can't smoke that cigar. I've been sick. All right, I'm just telling you right now. You got to put that cigar out.
Oh, John was asking.
You've been sick too. What are you doing smoking a cigar? Sorry.
John was asking about another unique card.
Yeah.
Nice high grade 54 Bowman Ted Williams.
Very cool.
I was going to ask you about that one. Talk about that a little bit, Lee.
Yeah. That was a card that was pulled early in production by Bowman and replaced with the Jimmy Pearsall. And they're out there, but obviously a short print compared to the rest of the set. And that's a nice quality one if anybody's looking for a really nice one to put in your set.
Any non-sports?
A little. There's I think there's only 6 or 7 lots. There's a unique, I don't know if you're familiar with Topps Who's It? It's a 52 or 53 Who's It?
No.
It's WHO-AT-Z. I have an English version of the set.
Wow.
It's the American version is 80 cards. The English version is 70 cards, and it has the English actors. I couldn't hardly find anything on it. But so, I mean, it's in there. Kind of, I was trying to find the list of the other 2 that I had in there. But yeah, non-sports for me is really kind of hit or miss. Every auction,
and I agree. What other sports cards do you have other than baseball?
I do the basketball, football, hockey. There's some complete sets of. Don't think I have any basketball ones, but there are some complete football sets and partial sets. The hockey, there's a few. I got some old peachy stuff in there that, as we know, is a little much shorter than the Topps. With that, I do the non-sport stuff and your boxing and golf and stuff.
You got any good old Minnesota North Stars hockey cards in there?
The North Stars.
You miss the North Stars, don't you? I can sense it.
Wait, isn't that the team that
they have the Wild, but they went to Dallas.
Yeah, but wait a second. Did one of the Bruins jump there? Was it Bobby? Did Bobby play for them?
No, he went to the Blackhawks.
And what about Derek Sanderson?
No, he went to the WHA.
He did.
Yeah.
Okay.
He might have been a fighting saint.
All right, Lee, we got about a minute left. Again, give us a little recap of the auction when it ends and what people can do, the rules, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, the auction ends Thursday, December 29th. You need to get at least one bid in by 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to be allowed in extended bidding. Once you're in extended bidding, you can bid on any lot in the auction, not just the ones you bid on. You can go through, and if you get outbid on the stuff you've been looking at, go look through the auction. See if there's something else you're interested in. You can jump in and bid. I tend to be on East Coast time around between 1 a.m. and 1:30 on the next morning. Tends to be when the auction closes. With as good an auction as this, it'll keep running to that time.
Fantastic. Lee Behrens, Sterling Sports Auction. We love having you on. You get it. You know what we're all about, and you've got a great little business there. Keep up the good work.
I always appreciate being here. Fun to be on, and keep Rico under the line.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lee.
Take care.
Thank you.
Lee Behrens from Sterling Sports Auction. We're going to take a quick break. We come back. We get a free-for-all.
All right.
We're going to chat. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
If you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on their tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden Auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. The highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
They are prized possessions, and you need a place to store them that is safe and secure. The eBay Vault is exactly that. An insured, climate-controlled facility with state-of-the-art security that guards your valuable collection around the clock. Your Vault account is protected by two-step verification and easily accessible through eBay Collection. And everything stored in the eBay Vault is backed by Authenticity Guarantee. Buying and selling is a seamless experience. When you buy an eligible card on eBay, it can be sent directly to the eBay Vault at checkout. Or, if it's already in the eBay Vault, you can just keep it there. And selling from the eBay Vault is just as easy. Every card in the vault has been expertly inspected, detailed, and photographed, so you can quickly sell it with a pre-populated listing. And if your buyer chooses to withdraw their card from the eBay Vault, we handle packing, shipping, and insurance. And same goes for you. If you want that rare rookie card in your hands, you can have it shipped to you at any time. Collect like a pro with the eBay Vault.
And Zap, the eBay Vault is climate controlled. Did you know that?
I did.
And insured and protected.
Rico's in I think he lives in a vault.
Yes, but is he climate controlled? It's also protected with 24-hour security. Soon, you'll be able to send cards already in your collection directly to the eBay Vault. They will take high-quality photos of the front and back of the card and document all the details for your viewing pleasure and to make the listing-to-sell process seamless. For more info, go to ebay.com. That's eBay, connecting buyers and sellers globally.
Hey, I got to ask the question.
Go ahead.
Did you watch that Patriots?
I can't even talk about it.
I mean, I was sitting in my...
I can't even talk about it.
I was like...
But I will, because we have, 7.5 minutes to
I was
kill?
sitting on my couch. My jaw dropped.
I just couldn't believe it. Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
It was the end of that game was so strange because you had that touchdown, which he was out of bounds, but whatever, it happens.
He was out of bounds.
But it's just so amazing to me that with football become so technically dependent now, did he bobble the ball, did he hold, and they couldn't zoom in on that high shot that clearly showed his toe in the white. Like, they, seriously, although they said, if that wasn't flexed, because that game was supposed to be Sunday night.
I know it was.
And they said if NBC had that game, they have the pylon cam. And it would have given a much better view
I did not know
of that. Yeah.
But
anyway, the laterals,
there were three,
are you kidding me?
There were three things that happened in that one play.
Yep.
Number one.
There's 3 seconds left in the game, by the way. Right. They were tied for people who didn't watch that game.
The running back should have just hit the ground.
Absolutely.
Should not have lateraled it.
Shouldn't even actually have run because he could have fumbled or whatever. He didn't have a clear path to the end zone.
He laterals it to Jacoby Meyer.
Yes.
Who throws the ball 30 yards backwards.
First of all, runs 15 to 20 yards backwards and then throws it.
Then, what's his name? Chandler interceptor.
Chandler Jones gets
now,
it.
Do you think that Mac Jones in his entire career, from the time he played Pop Warner, ever played defense?
Even the most staunch Mac Jones critics said, this is not a Mac Jones thing. First of all...
No, I agree with that.
Right.
But my point is...
the last thing Mac Jones is expecting, first of all, is to have a pass thrown to him.
And I agree. But my point is that, I mean... Chandler ran over him.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, hold on to his... I mean,
but really? But seriously.
He got clobbered.
But Chandler Jones is a giant man.
I understand. I would have held on to his leg and bit him if I had to.
At least he touched him. I'd have gotten out of the way. Are you kidding me? It wasn't... Okay, there have been dumber plays in the Super Bowl, dumber call, like, Pete Carroll throwing that pass at Malcolm Butler. There have been some unintelligent, dumb moves. But just pure stupidity. The Jacoby Myers thing is maybe the dumbest thing I've ever seen on a football
taking
field.
it to the next discussion.
What are his cards worth now? Jacoby Myers?
No.
They're horrible.
Oh, speaking of cards.
Don't buy a Jacoby
Myers. No, but speaking of cards, I'm going to talk about that in the next show. The Messi cards are off the wall right now.
Well, that was unbelievable. That was unbelievable.
I'm getting into soccer. I am getting because of my granddaughter, my son.
Yep.
It was an amazing soccer game.
It was just an unbelievable thing to watch. And talk about, you're looking at Messi, who everyone is looking at in that game, and the kid Mbappe from France.
Yeah.
And they both, oftentimes you have that spotlight on you, and you don't come through.
They rose.
Both of those guys rose to the occasion.
Which leads me to my third comment.
Which is true greatness.
Your fellow alum, Matty Ryan.
Oh, my God. I feel so bad for that guy.
Though let's take a little history. Here.
Okay.
So he's
Boston College product.
Super Bowl Atlanta. They're up 28-3, and they lose.
Yes.
They lose.
Right.
They did. Minnesota Vikings up 33-0.
33-0.
And Matty loses.
I'm stealing this a little bit from Stephen A. Smith, and he's absolutely correct. It is extremely difficult for an NFL team to blow a 33-0 lead at halftime. You really
have to stink.
You have to stink. It's almost impossible. And the Colts, they're not a good team, but there's players they have on that team. It's unthinkable. It's unthinkable they would do that. And I feel bad because Matty Ryan.
I think I saw him at BC lose a game like that against. I think it was a Notre Dame.
You're just
game.
taking a shot, using this to take a shot at my
I think it was
school.
a Notre Dame game. You guys didn't graduate at the same time, did you?
No. I graduated 19 years before he did.
Oh, you did?
I graduated in '87. He came out in 2008, dude.
Well,
but thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I've also never blown a 33-point lead. I did play on a Pop Warner team that went 0-10 and didn't score a point, though.
You didn't play for St. John's Prep, did you?
No.
I played for Austin.
I retired after.
I was a whiteout.
Pop Warner. I don't want to hear about your sports thing. All right, the running thing, the football
Division
thing.
3. I know. We weren't Division 1 like you guys, but I played Division 3.
But anyway, that Vikings-Colts thing was unbelievable.
Well, listen.
Matty Ryan was to me, going into that Super Bowl, let's go back, going into that Super Bowl with the Patriots, statistically, and even still, he's in the Hall of Fame discussion. But now I think he just ruined that with that Super Bowl and this game.
Well, his name used to be Matty Ice. It's now Matty Choke.
Matty Ice.
Right?
Choked on a piece of ice.
Matty Choke. All right, listen, I think we're just about out of time.
Did we kill it?
We
did. Kill time?
Special thanks to Lee Behrens from Sterling Sports.
Yep.
And
he was
from
great.
John Demorias from New England Card
That's
Show.
a great auction, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff
Check
you
it out.
probably won't see anywhere else.
With that being said, JM, have a great one.
You too, buddy.
Hope you had a good Christmas.
Yes, you too.
And with that being said, to our viewers and listeners, happy collecting.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.